Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Sorry, network was trying to mess me up, but we're not going to allow it. Pastor Kingsley is here. Welcome, sir. So I will just add him to the meeting so that we can start off right away. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, sir. Sorry, network was trying to mess me up. I've switched. I won't allow it. Yes.
Hello.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Good
Yemi.
evening.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I'm happy. I've been looking forward to
So, welcome, sir. And
it. Thank
we're
you.
about to start. And as I told you earlier, it's not a question and answer session. It's not an interactive session. We want to
Yeah.
pick wisdom from you. So that is where we are. So
I
over to you, sir.
actually thought it was going to be exactly all the things you said it is not going to be.
No, I told you it's not going to be like that. We just want to learn uninterrupted from you, sir.
Okay, maybe I'll just share a bit, then I'll let some people still ask questions so that we can speak directly into anything that they are thinking in
Yes,
their own heart.
yes, sir.
Uh,
We're here for
Okay, I'm happy to be here. I want to say hello to all the viewers. Good to see you, Yemi. It's been a while,
yes, it's been.
but thank God for technology. We can still connect. We can feel close even when we are physically
Yes,
far.
yes, sir.
All right. So basically, I'm just going to share a bit. I personally feel we have not yet maximized the blessing of marriage as human beings. I don't think we've fully tapped into it. And I've been a pastor for over 20 something years. And however, I'm feeling more and more the need and the call to really lay a good foundation for marriages, to lay a good foundation for families, you know. I'm a pastor, so I love church. So most times people think that maybe it's the church that will change the world. Maybe it's even the government that will change the world. Maybe it's education that will change the world. But the truth is that in God's mind and in God's will, it is the family that is supposed to change the world. It is the family that is the bedrock of of the society. It is the family, and we have not emphasized it enough. We have not demonstrated it enough. We have not taught it enough. To be honest with you, we have not done enough to help people see how powerful families are. If Satan already knows this, Satan already knows this. He has always paid attention to families. We have just not paid attention to it. We pay attention to church or to other public things, but Satan has always known the power of families. He attacked the first family, and he still attacks families till today. He knows that if he can scatter the family, it will impact the kids. It will impact the whole system from top to bottom. He knows that. When God created man, after his work and all that, the first thing that he made man to be is a husband and a father. That's the first thing he made man to be. He did not make Adam to be a principal of a school, because he doesn't think it's education that will change the world. He didn't make Adam to be the president or the prime minister because he didn't think it was government that would change the world. He didn't make Adam to be a pastor or a bishop because it's not church that would change the world. God knows that it's families. If the families get it right, if the families get it right, everything will be fine. Look at now, so I hear almost every other thing is shut. Parastatals are shut, churches are shut, everything is shut. The only thing you can't shut down is the family. You can't shut it down. You must know this, but many people might not know that in a lot of countries, people do homeschooling. People do homeschooling. You know, so almost anything that we go outside to do, if the family is strong, it can actually do it. People do homeschooling. People definitely do worship at home, which we're all doing now. You know, people do most things from home. The family is the only unit you really cannot shut down. It is always in operation. It is the first point of contact for every human being. Once any human being lands on this earth, before they will ever go to church, before they will ever go to school, they will first belong to a family. They will first be impacted by a family. So I just think we've not maximized it. We've not tapped into it. And we really need to, as Christians especially, we need to start to see that, you know, and I see that as part of the things I'm going to be, you know, majoring on and I'm called to do to help people become a bit more sensitive, you know, to the power that there is in the family. You know, that is what God wants. You know, even in the book of Timothy and all that, God was saying that, you know, for you to be a bishop, you must be able to run your home well. You know, as a pastor, I would think God would say the other way around, that if you are, you know, running the church well, then you'll be a good husband. God said, no, go and be a good husband first, then we can trust you with the church. You see, so that just shows you the emphasis is in the home, in the home, in the home. Marriage is the only thing that is featured from Genesis all the way to Revelation. You know, it's there at the beginning, it's there at the end. You know, it became a family affair at the end. You understand? It's all about it's all about family. It's all about family. And marriage is one of those things God used to demonstrate his relationship with the church. He said, you know, in Ephesians, that marriage is, you know, is a great mystery. It's like the same way Christ and the church. You know, that's why we are called the bride of Christ. You know, so it just goes to show, all this is just laying a foundation to let us know that, hey, it's very important. In my job as a counselor also, Yemi, I've seen that a lot of the challenges we face is traceable to our upbringing. Satan has hidden that fact from us. People don't know that a great part of their behavior is informed by their upbringing. It's so subtle, you won't even notice. But it is largely impacted by who you are. If you know the kind of things I've seen being duplicated from generation after generation, you know, a bit more deliberate, you know, if we're a bit more deliberate. So things flow from families, from father, from son, and it goes generation after generation. You know, most prostitutes have one thing in common. If you go and check it, most prostitutes have one thing in common. Largely, they were either abused, they were neglected, they had no parents looking after them. You know, if you check it, there's always that thing in common. Most young men in prison, especially in America where they have statistics, they found out that most young men in prison came from single parent homes where there were no dads. So these things are in the statistics. It's there. It's there. There are no dads. The family system first failed before they threw that child out there, you know, to go and face life without the covering and the mentoring of parents. And the impact is felt more when there is no father. Thank God we're having a mentoring platform for men on Sunday evening, you know, for men, you know, because I've been wanting to mentor men for years. Everybody speaks to the women. We have billions of women conferences. Women have always been taught how to be good mothers, good wives, but nobody is speaking to the men. Not enough is being done to the men. And the absentee fathers or the abusive father has more impact negatively in the home. In fact, whether positively or negatively, whatever happens to the man affects the family more. If that man gets saved, you know, there's a higher chance the whole family will get saved, as opposed to when it's the mother that gets saved. Statistically, they found out that when it's the man that gets saved, almost everybody in the house will get saved. But if it's the mother that gets saved, it doesn't have as much impact, you know, in the family. So these are stats. If the father is absent, you know, the children are more likely to be wayward. The daughters need their father. So if the father is absent or abusive, you know, the daughters go out there. We call it daddy issues. The daughters go out there to look for love that should have been given to them by their father. You see, the same thing with the boys. The ones for boys is even a bit worse, because boys need a lot of direction. The way you raise boys is not how you raise girls, you know, because they are not the same. Male and female are never the same. And we have a lot of people that try to argue that, men and women are the same. We're never the same. I usually tell people there are three things that inform most of my teachings or principles. They are scripturally tested, they are also scientifically backed, and most times they are statistically also backed. So those three things. I don't really teach from sentiment. Many people try to build their ministry from sentiment. So they start fighting fights like, oh, feminism and all that, that men and women are the same. We're never the same. We have different roles. Scripture tells us that. Science tells us that. The statistics also tells us that. But unfortunately, Satan is using, offended people, broken people to start those movements. People that maybe they've grown up in homes where the fathers were abusive. Then they start saying, "Oh, we don't need any role, any head in the home. Men and women should be equal." They try to, because it's coming from a place of hurt, from a place of abuse. Maybe their dad was absent, so they start saying, "Look, no woman should submit to any man." They are reacting based on something that's happened, which we understand that what happened was bad, but they should not change the roles and the genders, because that is very important. Men and women are different. The way you raise boys, not the way you raise girls. It impacts them when they don't have their father there, when they don't have their mothers there, or the mothers too. If the mothers too, or if the parents too are broken parents, they will still raise broken kids. So it just, the impact just keeps going on and on and on, and I'm trusting God that God will help us in our own generation to start turning it around. Turning it around, so that we'll have wholesome parents that will raise wholesome kids. And that's what God said. He said in Malachi, why did I bring the two of you together? He said, so that you can raise a godly seed. Because God knows that if two of you are godly people, then you will raise a godly seed. So I think a lot of us have not come to grasp, how important that decision of who we marry is. We just do it based on our selfishness, based on our circumstance. I'm lonely, I'm broke, all my mates are married, all those things. So we just say, hey, let me just marry anybody, the first person that comes. Let me marry that person. And I tell single people all the time, you don't choose a husband for yourself, you choose a father for your children. You don't choose a wife for yourself, you choose a mother for your children. So you have to think far in making that decision. That decision will affect more people than you. It will go further than you ever imagine. Yes, to go further than you will ever imagine. I mean, there are some cases I can't share here because they are sensitive, but I've seen all kinds of things. I mean, duplicated generation after generation. I've seen it just duplicated. You see a mother that maybe was forced to go into some kind of prostitution. She would just raise daughters like that. Some mothers that valued money above morals, they would just raise kids like that. Some fathers that valued money above family, they would just raise sons like that. It just keeps, I've seen it many times, generation after generation. There's a case I had many years ago. One girl wanted to get married in our church, so I was trying to get them to do counseling, trying to get them to, she brought a guy. I could tell the guy wasn't really saved, or at least wasn't a serious Christian. And she was somebody that was doing well in church. So I was trying to tell her that I don't think you should marry this guy. But even if you feel you want to go ahead with this guy, bring him to church, let him stay in church a while, slow down the process, do proper counseling, and let's see how we can work on him, because I could tell she wasn't willing to back down. So I said, okay, you know what, let's give us time, let him come to church, let's work on him. She didn't want to do that. In fact, you see, while I was busy, you say?
And then she played herself.
Exactly. So while I was busy trying to slow the process, I wasn't saying don't marry. I was just saying let's counsel you, do premarital counseling. While I was suggesting that, her mother called me. Her mom called me. I have to come and see her. So I was a young pastor and all that, so I went. The mom said, why should I tell them to slow down the process? Why should I tell them? The mother said she's here, that she has 2 failed marriages, that the girl's dad has 3 failed marriages. Yeah. And I thought those statements were supposed to help my point. But she was using those statements, as against my point, that I should not tell them anything, they should go ahead and marry. So the mom encouraged them. They eventually went to another church, to marry, and the marriage didn't make maybe a year plus. or so. They've been divorced for a while now, maybe a year plus. So this daughter has started already. I don't know whether she's married again now, but she has started. She has one now in the kitchen, and she has a daughter. She has a daughter. You see, if something is not done, that daughter, we have no choice, except there's interception by Christ or something solid. The daughter will have no choice but to duplicate what she's seen. I have many stories. I just can't share those stories because it might be sensitive. This thing is online, But I have so many stories of family after family after family duplicating same thing. Duplicating same thing. So I want to challenge the men on Sunday. I want to challenge everybody, even women everywhere. We have to start doing marriage, having our kids in mind, having, the next generation in mind, knowing that, look, whatever I'm going to do is going to affect a lot of people. If you're in a marriage, think twice about it before you leave. Think twice about it before you, whatever you're doing there, because it's going to affect the next generation. Divorce always affects, it's going to affect people. It's a bigger decision than you think. Think twice about it. I've even seen couples that say they love their children, I'll just go and carry my children, I'll go and carry, and I tell them the best thing you can even do, if you love your children, you need to love their father, you need to love their mother. Sometimes that's the best decision you can make for them, because these things go on and on and on. So I think we should work more on realizing that marriage is a destiny molding decision. Don't just do it because you are lonely. Don't just do it because you want sex. Don't just do it because all your mates are marrying. It's a destiny molding decision. From the time we start marrying, we are thinking about our calling in God, our destiny in God. To be honest, many people don't think like that. They just say, I'm lonely, I'm getting old, and I need to marry anybody. Anybody goes. Anybody goes. There are a lot of people that they're not even in love with the person they are married. What they love is marriage. It's marriage they love, not the person.
Yes.
And you can tell by how they are treating the spouse that they marry. That it's not this person they like. It's the idea of marriage. They love love. They don't love this person. It's love that they love. I think I saw the young man recently, very young guy somewhere, and he said he wants to marry. I said, why? He said he wants to have children. He wants to make sure the girl can get pregnant first because he wants to have children. I said, that's the wrong reason to marry. You need to marry. You are seeing a destiny partner in this person. You are seeing a covenant partner in this person. You are seeing somebody that you guys are going somewhere together, somebody that you love, whether or not children come at the time you're expecting, because you can't make children the reason why you are marrying alone. That will put you under pressure, So these are the thinking some young people have. All kinds of thinking, I have a book titled 25 Wrong Reasons People Enter Relationships. So for those viewing, please, if you're a single person, that's a good book to get. 25 Wrong Reasons People Enter Relationships. In that book, the main thing I said is that if you marry for the wrong reason, you have most likely married the wrong person. All right? If you marry for the wrong reason, you have most likely married the wrong person. So we need to start thinking destiny. We need to start thinking, hey, my marriage is a calling. My marriage to this person is a divine assignment. It's going to start by impacting my kids, but it's also going to impact my generation. You need to see it like that. When you see it like that, then you realize I can't marry anybody. I even see believers that don't understand that you can't just marry anybody. You have to marry someone that is one with you in the spirit. Somebody that can be in agreement with you in the spirit. There's so much power in when two people are in agreement. It said, the Bible said the two shall become one. It said the two shall become one. So there's a part of that happens automatically. There's another part of that happens, consciously. And many people that are married are not one. They are not operating as one. They're not yet operating as one. They've never become one because they never tapped into the power of agreement. There is nothing I and my wife have agreed about, that it hasn't happened. There's nothing we've agreed about that hasn't. You see, marriage is like the strongest covenant you can have. Marriage is like the strongest covenant you can have with another human being on this earth. It's the strongest. It's the strongest. There are many relationships you can have on the earth, but marriage, in my view, is the strongest one because it's the only one you can be one with the person's spirit, soul, and body. It's the only one you can achieve that level of agreement. And that means, if Jesus said, if two of you shall agree as touching anything on the earth, I shall do it. It means that when you tap into marriage, there's nothing you and your husband can agree about. There's nothing you and your wife can agree about that won't happen. In our own marriage has been so. Once we agree, once I and my wife agree, except we don't agree, Once we agree, and this agreement is not just a prayer agreement. This agreement also involves a mental agreement that we are both one in this idea. Then this agreement also means that we are maintaining an agreement, not that we are fighting every day. You know, every day we are quarreling, we are loggerheads. No, we are at peace. We are also one in that goal. Then we're also one in prayer, and we've agreed. There's nothing we've agreed that we've not gotten. I mean, to small details, to big details, once we agree that this is what we want to do, this is what we want to build, once we agree, all of them have come to pass. So our kids, the sexes of our kids, the temperament and behavior of our kids, everything we've agreed, it happens exactly how we agree. The kind of place we want to live, to the last details of everything, once we agree, those things come to pass. Once we agree, we wanted to have twins, but they didn't come the same year. One came, they came 2 years apart, but we agreed that they would come the same birthday. So 2 of our kids have the same birthday, August 22nd. So they are like twins now.
That's my mom's birthday.
Wow, can you imagine? Can you imagine? So they are like twins now. So, so we agreed, you know. They were even trying to, you know, nobody can plan that naturally that you're going to have two kids the same date. You can't plan that, you know. It's just the power of agreement, you know. So everything we've agreed has happened, and even me, I'm still discovering how powerful marriage is. I'm still discovering the mystery. God says it's a great mystery, that there's a mystery inside it. You know, I'm still trying to tap into how powerful it is when 2 people agree as touching anything on the earth, it shall be established. So you know, if me, I'm still learning, then when I look at how some people don't even understand what we are saying at all, you know, my heart, you know, goes out to them that we need to teach more. We need to teach more how powerful, you know, a family is. Fathers need to see how important their role is as men. Mothers need to see how important their roles are, you know, as women, you know, and we need to understand how powerful this family unit is. There's nothing you can achieve, husband and wife. You see what the Bible said? He that finds a wife has found a good thing. You know, those statements look simple, but they are deep if you think about it. If you think about it, the person that has found a wife has actually found a good thing, and he obtains favor. He gets a level of favor working in his life. You know, that's something there. That's something there. You know, so I tell people that if you marry right, most times your life can't remain the same. It's impossible. If you marry right, that your life remains the same. It's against scripture. It said, he that finds a wife finds a good thing, obtains favor of the Lord. The Bible said a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband's head. You know what that means? That means when 2 people marry right, you know, the man will also enter his kingship. He will enter some level of operation. And I've seen that in my life. I knew where I was before I got married. I know where I am now, you know, and I know a lot of it is tied to the kind of woman that I married. She is just an amazing blessing. In fact, sometimes I wonder how I was surviving before she came. You know, and I wonder how I would survive if she's not here. You know, it's just like that, you know. So there are so many scriptures that shows us how powerful. You know, it said 2 are better than 1. They will have a greater reward for their labor. Means where they used to put effort before and it brings ordinary results, then when they are now together, it will bring multiplied results. It will multiply their results. Then you will see in places like in Malachi, where God says he was no longer receiving their offerings anymore. No longer receiving their offering. And they said why? They were crying, they were covering the altars with tears. And God said, because of how you are treating your wife, you know, the wife of your youth. In other words, there's a blessing. There's a blessing when you treat your spouse right. There's a blessing. Men need to realize there's an anointing that comes upon you when you treat your wife right. All this is in the scripture. You go to a place like 1 Peter chapter 3, you know, verse 7, where it says, husbands, treat your wife according to knowledge, you know, because she's a fellow here of salvation with you. Then he says, so that your prayers will not be hindered. Can you imagine that? I mean, in all these things look simple, but if you meditate on them, you know, you will notice there's something God is trying to communicate. God is saying, look, you know, things are going to move slow for you if you're not treating your wife right. And if you treat your wife right, things will be accelerated for you. I went to preach in one Igbo church like that, you know. I call it Igbo church because, you know, some of those churches, you can tell the tribe where everybody comes from in the church. The songs they sing, the way they preach, everything is very Igbo in that church. So, and most of them were Igbos, you know, so it was an Igbo church. So I went to preach there on marriage. And I could tell that they dragged all the men there. You know, the women were excited to see me. They were excited to, you know, women like to, when I talk about marriage. So all my fans are women, majorly. They love me. They were happy when I was talking about marriage. The men didn't look interested. They didn't look like they just looked like their wife had to drag them out here and had to come. They didn't look interested. You know what I just did? I just switched it. I knew they were they were Igbos and most of them were traders. So I just switched it for them. I said, that your container that is seized is how you're treating your wife that is causing it. The moment they container, I said, they began to say, what is happening to container? What happened to container? They began to pay attention. They began to tell them, I began to tell them that, the way you treat your wife, your prayers will be hindered. So, you see, I have to get their interest. As I was saying earlier on, you see, you will never see God speak to men and women the same in scripture regarding marriage. You will never see God do that. Many people don't know. So that's why I don't like when people say things like men and women are the same, there should be no rules, there should be no head. That's not what God said. Those are sentimental ideas. It's not scriptural, it's not scientific, it's not statistical. God will never speak to men and women in the marriage the same way. He always speaks differently because they are two different people. So in that instance, you see, notice that God knows the best way to get a man to love a woman is not to tell the man that loving your wife is good. No, a man is not wired to understand that. The best way to get a man to love a woman, because most men are selfish, the best way to get a man to love a woman is to let him understand that when you love the woman, you are loving yourself. That's the best way. Any other thing you tell him, he's not going to get it. If you tell him, oh, love her, she will be happy. No, he's not going to get a man's attention. Tell him that when you love her, you will be financially blessed. Business, job is the best way to get his attention. God knows that. You see, I didn't write that. That's God. In Malachi, he cut their finances off. That's what he did. He wanted to get their attention, how they were treating their wives. He didn't preach. He didn't have a marriage conference with them. That's not what he did with them. All he did with them was to cut their finances. They are the one that came to look for him to find out what's wrong with the finances. That there's this trouble with the flow of finances. God said exactly because of how you are treating your wife. So he applied the same thing. He applied the same thing in First Peter. He said your own prayers will be hindered when you don't. God knows that men are selfish. You don't talk to men and say love your wife because to make your wife happy. Men don't relate. Don't relate that. Tell them that the best financial decision you can make is to love your wife. Tell them the best business decision you can make is to love your wife. They relate. They can get that. I was counseling a couple. Some years ago. They had a bad marriage, or they had bad issue in their marriage. The man was cheating on his wife. It was so bad that he was even bringing this girl to the house to come and take the kids out. It was bad. He had made it clear that he didn't want the wife again, that this is a new girl he has. It was very, very bad. So I'd spoken to them a few times. When I now traveled, they were out of the country. When I traveled again, I met them. By that time, the whole issue had died off. The guy had left the girl and it was back home and everything. So I was talking to him alone and I said, I hope all those era has passed. Hope he has dealt with those issues. I know what the guy said. The guy said, yes, so pastor, that he's starting a new business now, so he can't afford to be messing up. Do you understand? The reason why he's changing is because he knows that he can't mess up and get God's favor. Do you see his motivation? And I'm not blaming him. God himself knows that this is how men think. God knows that. God knows that men are just business oriented. They don't understand all the noise we are making about marriage and love. They don't care. They are selfish by nature. So God knows, look, the best way to make them understand their roles in a marriage, is to talk to them about how it affects them. They will get it then. That's why, for instance, in Ephesians 5, God did give men and women the same instruction. Like I said, you will never see God giving men and women the same instruction in scripture about marriage. So in Ephesians 5, for instance, he told the women, submit to your husband, respect your husband, basically. Then he told the men, love your wife. So it's interesting. Why are you telling a man to love his wife? Is it that he doesn't know he needs to love his wife? Exactly, he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't get it. It doesn't come to him naturally. It doesn't come to him naturally. Yes, so that's why God said, God had to actually tell him that, look, you need to love your wife, and sacrifice for her. Give yourself for her. That is what she will appreciate. But you see, God didn't repeat the same instruction to the women. Because women are natural lovers. Women are natural lovers. If anything, the women love too much. So women naturally will give more than necessary. In fact, if you notice, when God was talking to the men, God said anybody that loves his wife loves himself. That if you love yourself, you will love your wife. God was using love of self. For women don't even love like they love themselves. Women love more than they even love themselves. most women will sacrifice too much, you know, for a relationship or for a man. All right, so God knows that. God knows that. So he told the men, you love, but for the women, he told them, respect your husband. Why did he say they should respect their husbands? Very simple, very simple. If you marry, it won't take you long to realize that women are faster thinkers than men. They think faster than men. You know, scientifically, when a boy and a girl is born, when a boy and a girl is born, by 6 weeks in the womb, by 6 weeks or so, 8 weeks or so, they are the same. They are the same, no difference. Then after 8 weeks, they said that the boy's head, the boy's brain is marinated in testosterone inside the womb. His brain is marinated in testosterone, and it cuts off some nerves in the brain that connects the right brain and the left brain. That nerve there is destroyed. So that's why as they grow and come out, a boy is not great at listening because he listens with only one side of his brain. A woman listens with both sides of her brain. So she's faster in thinking, she's faster in processing, she can think and talk at the same time. She can, you know, she's always talking more. A guy doesn't use as much words and he doesn't think as fast. Eventually, you start thinking deeper, but he doesn't think fast. He thinks very slow. So it won't take you long if you get married or you spend time with a guy to find out that why is it taking forever to make up his mind? Why is it taking forever to understand this kind of thing? But a woman can solve this problem right now off at top of her head, but for a man, he will think. For men, thinking is actually a thing. Thinking is a period of its own. They need to sit down and think. And women are wondering, what are you thinking about? You can just think and talk as you're doing it, but men are not that fast. So God said, you know what, women, you're going to find out you are way faster than this guy. I need you to submit to him and to respect him, you know, because that will be the biggest challenge you will have. Love will not be a challenge for you, but respecting this man when he's making some slow decisions, some annoying decisions, he said respecting him, that will be the challenge for you. So if you notice, he told them two different things based on what he knows that they would struggle with, you know, in their marriages, you know, and that's how we get peace, basically. So the baseline is that let's understand how marriage works. Let's give it our best. Let's marry somebody that we really, you know, see a future with, somebody we really love, somebody we see as a destiny partner, as a partner, you know, in the walk of life, in the ministry of life. We understand that we are going somewhere together. You know, let's maximize that, and so that we can fully tap into, you know, what God wants to do. All right. So I think I take some questions. I've spoken a lot.
Questions, please write questions in the questions tab, please. Just click on the questions tab and ask your questions. I'll see it, and Pastor Kingsley will see it. Then we can answer you properly. Because if you put it there, it will not get lost in the comments. But if you put it in the comments, as the comments are moving really fast, it will get lost there and we will not see your question. But if you put it in the comment question section, it will be easier for us to see. So just click on the question tab and ask your questions, and we will see it, please. So we are waiting for your questions. Questions, please. There's a question tag. You can see it right beside where. Okay, a lady saying, please, sir, they are not putting it in the question tab, and now it's there. I'm looking at the question tab here. It's like my viewers today are not. So, sir, please, sir, what if your husband changes because you didn't give him a child on time?
You need to realize that some things are not really in your power. After you have chosen who you marry, you know, a lot are not in your power to change. So, if he's that kind of person that changes after you didn't give him a child, you don't have a choice but to pray and believe God that you will have a child. We've seen many women in scripture that went through that same thing and they had to use their faith. One of them is a woman called Hannah in the Bible. They had to use their faith to still get a child. So you need to understand the power of prayer. Many women don't explore their spirituality until they run into trouble. You know, many people try to build their foundation during the storm. you know, and that can be the most horrible thing. It's good to have a good foundation, whether the storm comes or not. That way you survive the storm. That's what Jesus said in Matthew 7. You know, he said, when the storms come, when the rains come. He didn't say if, he said when. He said there are two houses standing there, and the rain will beat on those houses. The one with the solid foundation will stand. The one without the foundation will have an issue. So don't build your foundation during the storm. Develop your spirituality. It's one advice I would give women. I have a message titled 7 Things I Badly Want to Tell Women that I preached. One of the things in that message is that explore your spirituality. If most women can put effort in their spiritual lives as they put in chasing men or in looking good for men and all that, you know, they will attract better men into their lives. But most times they just marry, you know, any man, then they want to start praying then and changing him. And that is a tougher route to go. So if it's changing, you can't do anything more than to pray. Yeah, you can't do anything more than to pray. That's all you can do. You can't beat him. You can't force him. Pray and believe God to answer you quickly so that you will have your babies. You know, that's the best you can do. But you can't control his own decision. That's not really up to you. Yeah.
Someone is asking, what do you do if a man refuses to do any work at all?
Does he have mentors? Does he have people in his life? This on that thing too, I tell women, please don't marry any man that doesn't have a head too, doesn't have a mentor. Don't marry any man that doesn't have anybody over his life that can speak to him. Men need other men to be their best. It's just that simple. Men need other men. If you look well, I mean, even in the body of Christ, when you see those preachers that don't have a lot of senior influence, don't have people that can speak to them, when they enter error, they enter the error massively because there's nobody there to put them in order. There's nobody there. So they enter error massively when they do. You know, every man needs another man in his life that can tell him some truth, that can put him in order, that can put him in check. So don't marry any man that doesn't have a head. You can't have a head over you that doesn't have a head over him. The structure God gave is that the head of Christ is God, the head of the man is Christ, you know, then the head of the woman is the man. So you can't just put a man over your head and he doesn't have anywhere he's also submitted to. That's too dangerous. So there's nothing you can do. If he refuses to work, you can't beat him. You can't beat him. You know, then my question would be, you know, you can also pray. You can look for ways to motivate him, you know, trust God to give you wisdom, motivate him. Then if he has people that can speak to him, get them to speak to him. Now, if you can survive financially by yourself, you know, you can move on with your life, because you can't stop being happy because somebody's not ready to do something with their life. You know, you can't do that. So keep pressing forward with your own life, you know, and raise your kids if you have kids. You know, the challenge is that they are growing up seeing a lazy man, so that might also affect how they see what it means to be a man. You know, so it's a serious situation, but you can't stop your life because of that. So get moving. So let somebody talk to him, pray about it.
Okay, the next question.
Can you find? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the next question is, what is the right age difference between a guy and the girl he intends to marry? That's another question. The right age difference.
Yes, there's no fixed age difference. There's no fixed age difference. As long as both of you have understanding of who you are and where you're going, you can even marry the same age. I and my wife were classmates in secondary school mates, so there's no age difference that is ideal. What's important is maturity and understanding. That's what's more important. All right. So I've seen marriages that have wide age gap that failed. I've seen marriages that have small age gaps that failed, or no age gap that hasn't failed. So that's not a criteria really for a successful marriage. The important thing is understanding, respect, maturity. Yes, go ahead.
So someone is asking, why is sex so important to a man?
Oh, beautiful question, because people argue sometimes with me about these things. They say, oh, we're encouraging men to be loose. You know, a man's sexual behavior and a woman's sexual behavior are never the same, because like I said from the beginning, men and women are not the same. If we keep confusing that, we'll keep trying to set the wrong route. God himself never, you know, spoke to two of them the same way in a home. He never did that, because he always addressed them differently, because he understood that he made them differently. So men have what they call testosterone. It generally makes them more sexually aggressive than a woman. A woman have what they call estrogen. You know, like I said, everything I teach is scripturally, scientifically, and statistically backed. It's not sentiment. It has nothing to do with what I feel. It's things that are facts. So a woman has estrogen. The difference is that women also like sex, but the difference is that women prefer sex that has more meaning. In other words, they also have sex emotionally. It's not just a physical act for a woman. A woman generally, before she gives you her body, she has to first give you her soul. She has to first give you her emotions. For men, it is totally different. Men are super sexually charged up. So in other words, men can have sex without emotions. Men can have sex with somebody they don't know or they don't even like. They don't even have to talk to you. In fact, we can be keeping malice and men will still enjoy sex because they are highly sexually different. So their own sex drive is not tied to their emotional state. So they can have sex with somebody they don't even like at all. For women, it's not usually so. Whenever you see a woman that is having sex randomly with people she doesn't like, go and check well. She either had issues with abuse or had serious daddy issues. There's a reason. Or she's stuck financially and she's just sleeping around for money. You know, most women that are normal, they don't sleep. Even those ones that are prostitutes or sleeping around, go and check. And all these are facts available. Go and check. They are high on drugs or on alcohol because they constantly need to numb their feelings to do what they do. They need to constantly do that. They can't do it feeling normal and be giving themselves to people like that. It doesn't work. So men have testosterone. It makes them more sexually charged than women are. So men can have sex with numerous people and don't even care for the people. But for women, most times, it's first an emotional affair before it becomes a physical affair. All right. In fact, there are a lot of women having emotional physical at all. They're not even planning to see the person, but they are constantly talking with the person and emotionally involved with the person. But for men, if you chat 2 or 3 days, the next thing is trying to see you because men express their own affections physically, and it's purely physical. It doesn't mean they love you. It doesn't mean they like you. All right. So a lot of times men are pushing intimacy to get sex. You know, women are pushing sex to get intimacy. So most times women are allowing a man sleep with them because they think that will make the man have a relationship with them. But the man is just pushing the relationship so that he can have sex with them. So you see, they are both trading like that. So without that knowledge, and that's why I tell single people, always remove sex. And this is God's advice. It's also my advice. Science also supports this. Always remove sex. You will know if a guy likes you or not. If a guy can hang out with you without touching you, it's a good sign that he likes you as a person. But if it's always about sex, it might just be the sex that he likes and not you. So I tell single people, always remove sex. It's God's advice. It's my advice. It's scientific advice also. Because sex can destroy your chances at building intimacy. Sex can destroy it. You know, many single people think that sex builds intimacy, and married people know that it is intimacy that builds sex. You know, the more you are married, that's when you realize that the oneness in the home, the harmony in the home is what improves the sex. But single people think it's the other way around, that the sex improves the harmony. It doesn't work like that. So you have to, so when you remove sex and single person, it helps you build true intimacy. That will in turn, when you get married, build the sex. So single people need to learn that. Remove sex. Most single people don't understand that sex is such a powerful thing. It impacts us more than, it's impacting this world more than we think. It's impacting this world more than we think. Yemi, do you know the amount of abortions that happen every year? Abortions happen every year. Let's use a country like America where they have statistics. You know, people say casual sex, nothing wrong with it. Even if you are not spiritual, let me use scientific, let me use statistical for you. Let's say you are not even spiritual. You don't understand that there's what is called soul ties. You don't understand that you become one with who you sleep with. Let's assume you don't understand that. Let me leave that apart. Let me go with science and statistical with you. In America alone, abortions every year is about 1 million or so. Every year. That's reported cases. We're not talking about the one that somebody in our bedroom, you know, took a pill and removed. We're talking about reported cases where they go to abortion clinic that is reported. 1 million, over 1 million. Now, from the year 1970 to the year 2016, 43 million abortions have happened in America alone. 43 million. That's America. This is not global. This is America alone. The whole of Ghana is 31 million. The whole of Ghana. So America has aborted Ghana. America has aborted Ghana. One country has been aborted. One generation has 43 million. There are not many countries that are up to 43 million in Africa or even in the world. There are many countries that are 31 million, 10 million, 15 million. And America has aborted 43 million. That's only America. If we count it globally, the whole world, the abortions going on because of premarital sex, you see. It is sex between people that are not planning to stay together that we're talking about. So when they have that sex and the children, the consequence of that sex comes because they are not planning anything long term, you know, they run away and they think of abortion. So it's having more, one of my point is that it is having more impact than we can realize. So we need to understand that these issues are all serious. All right. So that is why the question asking about the men and sex, that is why it's a physiological thing for a man. It doesn't have to do anything with emotional. It's just supercharged. Even from teenage years, when the testosterone starts pumping, he's supercharged, he's having wet dreams, he's masturbating, he's dealing with those challenges because the emotions, the testosterone is rushing, and he doesn't even know how to control it, you know, as opposed to the woman is having more desire for intimacy. Not that she doesn't like sex, but her own first desire is a desire to be loved. That's what she's dealing with, all right? And that's why women now enter bad relationships, you know, because they are looking for who to love them, and they are believing that if I sleep with him, because men use that lyric, if you love me, you sleep with me. So they are both trading. The man is trading relationship to get sex. The woman is trading sex, you know, to get relationship, you know. So that's what happens most times.
Thank you, sir. Another question that I saved, because it's gone off. Yeah, he said, if your parents don't support you marrying a person from another tribe, but you love the person so much, what do? Intertribal marriage. You said if your parents don't support you marrying from another tribe, but you love the person so much, what do?
Okay, what I would say, I actually have a book titled I Love You But My Parents Say No. So the person watching, please still go get that book. I Love You But My Parents Say No. Now, the basic thing is this. Number one, what I ask the couple is that, are both of you sure you want to marry each other? Because sometimes the battle is going to be tough. So both of you have to be in agreement. You can't be unsure and enter this battle. You must be sure that we have prayed, we have taken time to fast, we have taken time to seek counsel, we have talked about it, and we believe we are meant for each other. Because the real battle is that, you know, none of you give up. Not that you have and say, I'm not sure, I don't want to know my mother. No, I don't want to know my father. So that happens a lot. So both of you need to be sure that both of you in an agreement, you are very sure about this, you're ready to go full length. How far are you ready to go? Are you ready to go as far as it takes to solve this issue? Once both of you are in agreement, second thing you need to do, what is the reason why your parents are saying no? All right, what's the reason? They are saying no. In your own case now, for instance, you are mentioning tribe. We all know that's not a strong reason. That's just a sentimental reason. All right, even though we will not discard it because to them it must be important. It might not be important to you, but it's important to them. So third thing is that what are your spiritual parents saying? If your physical parents are saying no, what are your spiritual parents saying? Because as a believer, you should have spiritual parents. You should have people that you submit to spiritually. Because in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word is established. So if your spiritual parents also think there's something wrong somewhere, that's a good sign for you guys to check again. If they are in support, then that's good. You have support from one end. So then begin to work on your parents' mentality. If it's issue of tribe, begin to check in your family, extended family. Is there anybody that has married from your tribe that has a bad marriage? And is there anybody that has married from another tribe that has a good marriage? Begin to gather your case file because you'll be going to court many days. Gather your facts. All right? Gather your facts. Because if your dad is the head of the home in terms of decision making, he is more moved by logic. So you get a good lawyer, get your case ready. For your mom, if your mom is sentimental or emotional, you'll be crying to her every day that she wants you to stay in this house forever, that you will just kill yourself. You will do, I mean, be emotional with her. That's the point. Don't kill yourself. You know, the point is, I'm just saying, be emotional with your mom. If she's the type, then be logical with your dad. If he's the type, bring your strong reason. All right. Now, next point. Are there people in your family that can talk to your parents? Are there people they listen to, either their pastor or their family members, their siblings, are there their brothers, people that have influence with them that can talk to them? Go and win those people over with your case. Then lastly, sometimes can your own pastor to talk to the parents? You know, I've had to do that sometimes for somebody that I knew in my church. They wanted to get married. This was many years ago. The guy was from Bayelsa. The girl was a Yoruba girl. The parents didn't want a Bayelsa guy. So I had to go and call my own pastor. Me, I was Igbo. So me going there wouldn't have helped because that's the problem they don't want. So I had to go and call my own pastor all the way from Ibadan. You see, that's why you must have a pastor. People don't understand. There are some relationships you must have. You must have a good lawyer friend or a lawyer in your life. Very important in this life, especially as you progress. You must have a doctor that you are linked to. Another thing you must have is a pastor. is very important. People that can tell you the mind of God, all right? These are important relationships you need to have. So I went to bring my pastor all the way from Ibadan, because he is Yoruba and he has been my pastor for a long time. So he came and built a relationship with the couple's parents, with the girl's parents, because they are both Yoruba, they were both Yoruba, and they were flowing, and they were now calming down about the decision. You understand? Because they saw a Yoruba pastor that was able to convince them that he knows this boy well, that all their fears, he's going to be there to supervise it. He was able to allay their fear. You understand? So all these steps, then of course, the most important step is that you have to be praying. So you guys should take out time once a week or something, fast together, pray together, deal with it spiritually, you know, and apply these physical steps. I believe you should be fine.
Okay, thank you, sir. This is the last question because we have just a few minutes. This lady says, when is the right time to tell your partner about your investment? I'm wondering, is it that she has been hiding money from her husband, or she has been really investing to not tell him, and now she's wondering how to tell him?
No, I don't think they are married. I hope they are not married.
I'm hoping so.
Yes. I don't think they are married.
But I think they are married. Because the way she said it, it sounds like they are married.
Okay, I will address both. I will address both. If you are not married, I have a message titled "Undue Influences." There are things you should not get mixed up in a relationship until you marry. So one of it is money. Don't get sex. Sex is one of it. Don't start having sex before you marry. It mixes up the issues. It won't allow you make the right decision.
She's not married. She said she's not married. Clarify.
Yes, that's what it makes. So undue influences. Number one is sex. Don't have sex for marriage. I've answered that already. Number two, don't get money mixed up before you get married. It makes decision making hard. Don't start joining money. Don't do all those things, because if you are seeing red flags and you want to back down, you start thinking of the money you have put together. It generally makes it more messy. So I advise people not to get money mixed up until they marry. Now, if you are closer to the wedding and all that, it's okay to start sharing what you have. All right, in terms of information, sharing information about what you have. So if you're getting closer to marriage and you see that this is a really serious relationship, then you can start sharing such information when marriage is in view. I have a webinar that is on my website and that is on our YouTube that I did last Sunday, where I talked about the normal procedure. In the first place, you don't start a relationship if marriage is not in view. You don't just start a relationship for starting sake. You start because you want to get married. So if you're moving closer to the goal, then you can share the information of, oh, this is how much I earn. This is how much I have. It's proper to share that. It shouldn't be a surprise. But you see, in the first place, many people are we're just checking each other. They're just checking each other out. They're just checking each other out. So that makes it, very casual dating. So they are worried. If you both of you are really serious, there's plan for marriage, you are working towards that plan, then you can share that information, about what you own and how much you earn. It's very okay. It's one of the things you need to open up about. So it's very fine.
No, but you didn't mention the one for the married people. No. Married wife, somebody has said, please mention for married and unmarried. Yes. Because somebody might be hiding investment from her husband.
Yes. If you are married, whatever you own already belongs to your spouse in the first place. Like I said, marriage is so deep. Unfortunately, what many of us are doing is not even marriage at all. In marriage, two of you are in a covenant. You are both one. You are one person. That phrase, one flesh, means one person. So two of you are already one person. So if you were hiding money and all that, both of you are doing it wrong from the beginning. So you should be willing to open up and share your assets and liabilities. However, if you're married to somebody where there is carelessness financially, the person has been mismanaging before, then in those cases, you can still share the information, but you don't have to hand over documents to them until you can trust them or until they have changed. You must protect yourself. If you are already in a case where there is threats, you've seen that, oh, this person goes and spends our savings, we give him the rent to pay, it's it, then you're already in a threatening situation. So you need survivor skills in that case, all right? But in a normal marriage where both of you are working with the covenant, everything you own is their own, everything they own is your own, is one. All our things, me and my wife, we've run joint account from day one. All the money belongs to all of us. We've never seen it as my money or my own. It's our own, and that's what covenant says, all right? So normally that's how it should be.
Okay. So this last question, it will come from me because it's something that I've had people ask me before. How do you manage arguments when both of you are broke? I don't know, finances, when there's a real scarcity, because I know that a lot of the time that causes a break in a lot of families, a breakup. So
Yep.
how can people handle their relationship? Maybe a man that is unemployed, maybe he works hard, but he's unemployed at the moment and he's not making any money, and you are falling into the position of breadwinner. So how are you to handle that? Because a lot of the time it makes a man more edgy. You know, please, how can that be handled? Because I know that's a very question a lot of people might not want to ask publicly.
I think it's quite simple. If both of you understand that it doesn't matter who is earning what, that we are one and we are both working towards this family. If he's out of job, you know, did he lose the job himself? Did he just stop going to work, or he lost the job in terms of that he got fired? If it's a general loss of job that everybody is going through, then it's not his fault. Both of you should keep working. Look for how to support him. You must make sure you don't make him feel less of a man because you are the one bringing in the money. You know, it doesn't even matter who brings money. It shouldn't matter. You know, that bringing money doesn't mean you are better or superior to your partner. We should be one, no matter who is bringing the money. So it's in a case where you're already having superiority complex because you're bringing money, then there's a problem. You know, if you're the wife, still respect him the way you would normally do, still love him the way you would normally do, still allow him administer the funds the way you would normally do. You know, you guys should still rub minds together and plan. If both of you are in agreement, you will come out of that situation faster than if both of you are fighting. So that was what I'm explaining. So I and my wife went through many times of hardship. Even while I was on TV, there are times I didn't have soap to have a bath, we didn't have toothpaste to use. It never caused a quarrel because we're in it together. We're both seeing the account. It wasn't that I had money I didn't want to spend. We both saw what our income was, and we had to manage and work through it. As long as we both see God as our source. There's a problem when you're seeing the man as the source. It's not the breadwinner, it's God that is our source. If we see that, then we both trust God together, and God can use any channel, He can use any skill. Sometimes it's the woman's gift that He will use to bless us. Sometimes it's the man's gift. So I don't see a problem. It shouldn't be a problem if both of you are operating friendship and being one and being in covenant together. It doesn't matter who God uses to bring the money. Both of you must respect each other, know how to administer the money, plan together that, oh, we have 50K. What's the best way to spend it? And plan together and, you know, respect each other. And I really don't see how it's going to cause a problem, because we've been through that in my own home. You know, when we're starting, many times there were no money. We've been through that a lot, and it was never an issue. We enjoyed ourselves, no matter. As a matter of fact, when I was still, we're just still dating, and my wife had an ex, you know, that used to be in her life. So her parents wanted that guy. You know, she wanted me, and her mother asked her a question. Her mother asked her that if both of you, if you are broke, which of these guys would you rather be broke with? If you are going to be broke, which of these two guys would you rather be broke with? And she said she would rather be broke with me because we are friends and we love each other, and she can go through that with me. And the mother said, then that's the guy you should marry. So, you know, the mom probably had some wisdom, you know, about what you're saying, because if both of you are friends, it doesn't matter whether you're in abundance or you're in lack. It's just a part of life. It's a phase that will go away. So I don't see why it should change how I talk to you because you make money or I don't make money, or I make money, you don't make money. Money is never the reason why we respect each other in the first place. So except money has been the reason why we've been respecting ourselves, then that is the problem. We ought to respect ourselves because we love ourselves, not because you are bringing money or I'm not bringing money. So it's the mindset shift. It's not money, it's the mindset shift. You love this person whether or not they have money, whether or not they are educated, whether or not they have a job. You know, I love you. That's the important thing. So if it's one cup of garri we have, we're going to drink it joyfully together and share it as lovers. That's just it.
Okay, thank you so much, Pastor Kingsley. It's been an eventful evening. Now, if you guys have further questions, you can check out his YouTube channel, his website. Go through his website. There are messages, books, webinars, and so many things that will answer your questions.